You are alone. No one is coming.
He will come. Peace will once again rule this world.
The Legend of Zelda is my favorite video game franchise of all time. I love these games so much. I always say the worst Zelda game is still one of the best games ever. And in the recent years, we've been getting a lot of really good video game adaptations. Now, I always thought we've gotten good video game adaptations. The original Mortal Kombat, Silent Hill. I like the original Super Mario Bros. But it's undeniable that the quality has been ramped up. So obviously, a lot of people are speculating on games that they would like to see, that they think are gonna happen, especially with Nintendo now opening their doors a little bit more. And the first game that is usually on people's minds is The Legend of Zelda. And we've had really good fantasy franchises in the past. We've had Legend way back in the day, incredible fantasy movie.
You've stolen my dreams away.
All things change, lady. The dreams of youth are the regrets of maturity. Dreams are my speciality. Through dreams, I influence mankind. My dream is of eternity.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy, the Hobbit trilogy.
No one knows it's here, do they? Do they, Gandalf?
The weapon of the enemy is a gift. Let us use it against him. You cannot wield it. None of us can.
The ring must be destroyed.
It was made in the fires of Mount Doom. Only there can it be unmade.
And more recently, for example, the TV show of The Wheel of Time.
If we do not stop the Dark One now, the whole world will burn. I can't allow it.
There's been a lot of really high quality fantasy adaptations. And what I mean with this is you got adaptations that look like they belong, like there's nothing super flashy or out of place. For example, when a hobbit walks around in Rivendell, he doesn't seem out of place. Everything seems to match and belong. And I think that is something specifically that we've mastered over the years. And because of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, a lot of people always wanted Peter Jackson to make the Legend of Zelda movie. Now, I never really cared who made it. Nintendo decided to go with Avi Arad. And personally, I like the legacy of this man. So, Avi Arad, he's executive producer of some of the greatest live-action transitions to me personally. The original X-Men. X-Men 2 is still one of my all-time favorite live-action movies. I love this movie.
They say you're the bad guy.
Is that what they said?
We'll never know anything beyond what they see.
I have faith in you.
If you like showing off, don't.
But beyond that, he also did Spider-Man 3, one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. He's executive producer in everything from Into the Spider-Verse to the last 3 Spider-Man Homecoming movies. He did a ton. And not just these movies, he's also responsible for Blade, A Hope from 2008, and he's doing the upcoming Borderlands movie. I think this man has a perfect track record to take a stab at The Legend of Zelda. I think his live-action translations just work. As a producer, as an executive producer, I think he's the right man for the job. I have no fears whatsoever. However, I do obviously have my own little list of things that I would like to see from the Legend of Zelda movie. As a massive fan, and not just a Zelda fan or a Nintendo fan, but a fantasy fan in general. That was a lot of fans. So here's a list of top 10 things in no particular order that I would like to see from the Legend of Zelda live action movie. 1. Don't base it off any of the games. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I do not want to see a rendition of Ocarina of Time, of the original Legend of Zelda, of Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess. I do not want a scene-for-scene retelling of one of the games. I want an original story. But number 2, I do want the Triforce to work the way it always has. I want Link, Zelda, and Ganon to be in the movie, to each have their part of the Triforce, and for the story to focus around that. I want Link to save Princess Zelda. I know we live in a day and age where Princess Peach can fight and be part of everything, and I don't mind. Even in the Zelda games, Zelda is an absolute beast right now. And I don't mind any of this, but I do not want them to be afraid to put Zelda in a position where she needs help from a hero. Number 3, I don't want Link and Zelda to know each other. I don't want the beginning of the movie to have a friendship built between Link and Zelda, like in Skyward Sword. I do not want Link to be a knight in Zelda's service. I want Link to be an unknown hero in the beginning of the movie who doesn't know the princess, who's on a quest for the Triforce, or maybe he's a calling. I do not care if it's a prophecy or what, as long as they don't know each other in the beginning of these movies. Number 4, I don't want an origin story. I do not want this movie to be an origin story for how Link becomes the hero as a first part movie in a trilogy. I do not want to see an hour of young Link runtime. I want at least 75% of this movie to be Link as a fully geared up hero on a quest. I don't want to have to wait until the last act of the movie to see Link in full gear fighting off evil. I don't care about childhood friends or how he's raised. The only thing that I will accept is that maybe his background story is based off the prequel comic to Ocarina of Time, maybe something like that. He was abandoned in the woods and raised somewhere else. I don't care, but I don't want a full-on origin story in this movie. Talking about a mentor, number 5. I do not want Link to have any companions in this movie. I do not want a traveling band of companions and Link to always be in the background. I don't even want a single companion. Give him a fairy, sure, maybe. If you want to sell merch, give him a little creature, even that preferably not. Don't give him a humanoid companion, and especially don't give him a band of people traveling with him. Let him be a solo hero on a quest the way he's always been. This one is a little bit peculiar, but number 6, I hope that they do not cast famous actors, specifically in the roles for Link and Zelda. I don't want freaking Tom Holland there. I know that's the ongoing joke these days. I don't want famous A-rank actors. Now, the reason I'm a bit afraid of this one is Nintendo likes their marketing. They like the big names. They did it with the Super Mario movie. But honestly, I want Link to some degree to be faceless, to not have this huge cachet actor behind his name, and the same thing for Zelda. I can live with Ganon being somebody maybe slightly famous who's good at these kind of roles, because he's probably gonna have some makeup on or maybe even a suit depending on what they do. So I have no problem with that, but I want Link and Zelda to be borderline anonymous, unknown actors.
What's your name, boy? Strange. It sounds familiar.
I do not trust that man. Evil is in his eyes. The darkness he brings surrounds us, I feel it.
Number 7 is a little bit game specific. As the fan in me, there's one thing I always hope to see in every single Zelda game, and honestly it goes for this movie as well, and that is Goma. I don't care what variation of Goma they use, whether they go with the crab version, or the arachnid version, or the more demonic form from Ocarina of Time. I don't care, as long as you're in the movie. Now, preferably I'd go them with a slightly more realistic spider, but that's just because even though I'm arachnophobic, I love seeing giant spiders in movies. The Lord of the Rings did it, Harry Potter did it. I just want to see Goma, and extreme bonus points if she is a dungeon boss. Because you don't need to follow all the games, you don't need 100 dungeons, but I'd like some dungeon crawling in this movie. Maybe a little boss fight in there. A pretty important one for me is number 8. I do not want the Legend of Zelda live action movie to be a Mario movie Easter egg fest. As an animated movie, I loved it how the Super Mario Bros. Movie had a ton of Easter eggs everywhere. I don't want that for the Legend of Zelda. I want it to be its own Zelda. Obviously, you're going to have the standards, maybe some Stalfos, or, you know, like Kokiri, or some name-dropping Triforce. Obviously, it has to be Zelda. All I'm saying is, don't give, for example, the moon the face from Majora's Mask, you know. Don't have him specifically do every song from Ocarina of Time in there. You can give him an ocarina, you know, if that's what you want to do. Not everything needs to be called an Easter egg. Just don't give me like a reference to every single Zelda game in this movie. However, Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda. I wouldn't mind a little reference to Majora's Mask specifically. I know, retro, you're playing both sides of the fence. I don't care. It is what it is. As long as in a Mario movie, you're looking around. Every scene, you're recognizing 100 things from 100 games by ear. You're seeing it. I just don't want that specifically. I want to be able to enjoy an adventure without being on the lookout for Easter eggs. Number 9, and this one is kind of important. Don't keep this movie all human. Don't keep the races with Hylians, Gerudo, and Kokiri, for example, who are all just slight variations of humans. I want to see Gorons, I want to see Zoras, I want to see a full fantasy world where everything truly fits together. This is probably the hardest one to do, I feel. It's like what I said earlier with the Lord of the Rings. If you have a hobbit walking around in Rivendell, it doesn't look out of place. I want to be able to see a Goron walk around in Kakariko Village and it not be a problem. If these things appear in the movie, it has to work, and I don't want them to be afraid to do this. Show me that this is the Legend of Zelda without sticking to human races, because honestly, I think that's pretty cheap. I want to say I'm not too worried about it, considering, you know, X-Men, Spider-Man, everything, these things work, but, you know, it's very different in somewhat of a high fantasy setting. And this is the thing I've addressed several times already when talking about The Hobbit in Rivendell, for example. I don't know why I keep using this example. I do not want this movie to look like a fan film. This is number 10. This is kind of important, and this is the hardest thing. Again, I want Zoras. I want Gorons. You know, it has to be the Legend of Zelda, Ganon. You know, you have to have Stalfos, Triforce, Link in his tunic, and all these things have to fit together. There's been a ton of Zelda fan films for over a decade. Most of them are not very good, I think. There's been 1 or 2 that are just absolutely perfect. But overall, apart from those 1 or 2 perfect ones, every Zelda fan film does the same thing. You have Link in a bright, oversaturated green tunic walk around in like a desolate village or in a grassy plains, and he just feels so out of place.
hero of time.
You can clearly tell this is a fan film. Now, as a fan film, that's not necessarily bad, but if we're talking high budget movie, I want it like the greatest fantasies have done it before. The Wheel of Time, The Lord of the Rings, Legend even. I don't want anything to feel out of place. I don't want to have Link walk over a grassy field and think to myself, wow, it kind of looks green screen. He doesn't fit in this world. Everything has to fit. This is kind of a broad point. But again, we've had fan films do this successfully, but most of the time, it's an absolute nightmare. You're looking at a fan film and you can clearly see people put on some cosplay and walking around in a field, and that is the main thing I really want them to avoid doing. There you have it. That is my top 10 things that I would like to see from the Legend of Zelda movie. I'm so excited for this movie. Like a lot of people, this is like a dream come true. Knowing I'm going to get a full-scale, big-budget, live-action Legend of Zelda movie. I've been dreaming of this moment. I can't wait to the moment I sit in the cinema and this movie starts and just being able to dive into this world in a whole different way. That's why it is honestly quite important to me that, like my original point, I do not want this movie to follow any of the games. I don't want to know what's going to happen based off the games I have played per se. I want it to be its own adventure, its own thing, and I don't want to have to wait till the final act to see Link actually live The Legend of Zelda. Let me know what you think of this video, but more specifically, let me know what you would like to see most for this live-action Legend of Zelda movie. What are you most excited about? What are you afraid of? Give me something that you absolutely would love to see and something you really don't want to see in this live-action Zelda movie. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. As I mentioned before, I completely rebooted my channel. It's a new, fresh start, fresh of everything. No strings attached. I can just fully live into the gaming universe. I do gameplay, trailer reactions, topics like this, top 10s like this, and I don't know, I'm just having a lot of fun again uploading videos, so you can definitely count on a lot more videos coming up. I'm actually editing like a bunch of videos as we speak. Please subscribe. All my links to social media are in the video description, and of course, please let me know what you are expecting from the Legend of Zelda movie.